Welcome to Anime Raw Talk, where we share our honest opinions on anime, Japan, news, and much more. It doesn't matter if you're new to anime, if you're a casual, or a complete weeb. Join the conversation here. I'm Talha, and I'm joined by...
Russ.
And ramen.
So, how are you guys doing today?
Yeah, I'm pretty good. I was a bit tired, I'm not going to lie, but I think I've perked up a bit now. Had a coffee, had a naked bar.
I've been good. Been waking up at 7 these days, so getting back to my normal routine.
Keeping it healthy?
Yes, going to sleep normal times.
I think even on a work day, I don't wake up at 7.
Oh,
I'm going to be honest. I'm working from home, roll out of bed at 8:58, sprint to the computer, open it at 9.
Oh, you're one of those guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, because I used to have to wake up at like 5 to get to work at 7 when I was supervising at Uniqlo.
Shout out to Uniqlo for having affordable anime shirts.
I actually bought one of the Uniqlo shirts. It's like I think it's got Mount Fuji on it. It's just like 3 pictures of Mount Fuji.
Yeah, that's a cool shirt.
I wore it last week. I'm not sure if you remember.
Yeah, I remember that.
But it's got a really cool kind of laid back vibe. But I think they make quite a lot of good shirts.
They've been getting better with their
They do a lot of collabs now as well.
Yeah, they do. Like they're just constantly for the UT. Like even though I haven't worked there since I quit in October, but I keep up with like the Uniqlo stuff because I think I'm always gonna be like somewhat of an advocate of Uniqlo because I just love their like, clothes.
Yeah,
it's like so nice.
Yeah, I think Russell knows how much I love Uniqlo.
Yeah.
Mate, everything I'm wearing right now is also Uniqlo. Uniqlo sponsor us, please.
Yeah, please.
in time. So how about we kind of talk about our introductions and like maybe our anime backstory, how we got into the world of animation and Japan.
Sounds good.
Really. So I think like mine started off before I even knew it. And I'm not sure if you know this anime. It's called Guyver.
No.
It's like Guyver Bio Boosted Armor. It's like a really, really old anime, like in the 80s and 90s.
Oh, yeah. No.
So my dad used to travel a lot when I was younger. And when he used to come back, he used to bring like a lot of DVDs and videos. And one of them was Guyver. And it was anime, but at that time, I didn't really know it was anime.
Yeah.
It was just another like
just
cartoon. And it was like really gory. And it had like a solid storyline all the way through. So I was watching anime before I knew it. But then the first time that I kind of knew that I was watching anime was when I watched Bleach.
Yeah.
Right? So Bleach was my first ever anime. But before I got into anime, I actually got into manga first.
Okay.
Right? And the way I got into manga is when I moved house in secondary school, there was like a comic book store, like literally 10 minutes away from us.
Where is this, in London?
Yeah, it's in London. Yeah, so I'm from London. Yeah, I think you know.
We're all from London.
Yeah. But yeah, like I visited it like one day after school.
Yeah.
And this was when I was like 13 or 14, right? So I went with me, my mom, and my brother. And they had like your normal comics, like your DC, your Marvel, your Dark Horse, and all those kind of stuff. And at the back of the shelf, right, it was time to go. And my mom was like, you haven't picked anything. Like I could buy one thing. And I didn't really want to like buy like, Spider-Man or Batman. My brother already bought, I don't know what he bought. I think he bought Batman or something. And I was just like scrolling through, already spent about like 40 minutes inside the store. And at the back of the store, there was a shelf of new releases. But I don't think they were like, they didn't think they would be popular.
Yeah.
And I found the first manga of Naruto.
Oh, okay.
So it was in a sleeve and everything, right?
Yeah.
It was pretty like unique sitting there inside the comic book store. So I bought it and then I went home.
Did you get tripped up on the reading right to left?
Yeah,
left to right thing?
That was like the first time I learned about it. I was like, wait, am I reading it right?
Yeah.
Because I started from the back.
Yeah.
And it goes, and it has a sign as well, right?
Yeah.
It says, you are reading this book the wrong way around.
Yeah.
This is a Japanese book. Read from the other side. But I started reading Naruto then. And that was like my first ever experience of just like these really cool drawings.
Yeah.
The way that they expressed the story, the visuals. Yeah, it was just amazing. And then what happened is I started reading more about it. And then at that time, I didn't really know like about anime, right? I knew the Pokemon and all that kind of stuff, right? Digimon.
Yeah, I was going to ask, did you watch that stuff when you were a kid? Like, did you ever watch Yu-Gi-Oh? Did you watch the cartoons with the spiky hair?
Yeah. they were like really, really intriguing, and we'll talk about that. But what happened is one day after school, I was taking the bus home, right?
Yeah.
And my brother, who's 2 years older than me, we were on the same bus with his friend. And he was basically, before we got off the bus, he was watching something, and I was like, "Oh, what are you watching?" And he was like, "Oh, I found this really cool like anime." And I was like, "Wait, anime is kind of like Japanese, right?" I kind of knew a bit about it, but didn't really watch anything about it. And on his phone, like his really shitty like Sony Ericsson like small phone,
Back in
he
the
was
day.
like on YouTube watching Bleach episode 1.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
I was like, "Damn, what is this?" And I watched like the first 30 seconds of it,
Yeah.
and I was just instantly hooked in.
Yeah.
Like the Japanese, the cartoon,
Yeah.
like not even the cartoon, like the way that it's animated,
Yeah.
all of that kind of stuff. And I went home, went onto my like really, really old PC that we all shared in the family.
Yeah.
YouTubed Bleach episode 1.
Yeah.
And then that's the first time I came across English.
Yeah, then you
when it
watched
was
it
in
in
English.
240p with
Yeah,
like
yeah,
a weird
man.
outline. You know, like when
Yeah.
when they had the little square where you can watch it inside, and then the weird outline of the anime on the outside. Yeah, that's like the OG YouTube.
Yeah. And
So
they already had
weird.
like Spanish subtitles and all
Yeah,
that kind
bro,
of
it's
stuff.
always Bleach.
Yeah.
Bleach had like I was watching. Bleach was probably my first anime or Naruto. I honestly can't remember. Like real anime when I knew what anime was. That's what the first one I started watching, and I think I started watching it, and I was watching on YouTube, and I wasn't into subbed at the time because it was like too difficult for me, I guess.
Yeah, too
like,
foreign,
I
right?
was
It's like, why
no,
am I
it's
watching
not
it?
even that. I was just like, if I wanted to eat something with my brother, and like or like I wanted to play the video, like the anime, and go do something, and I could still hear it. I didn't speak Japanese, so like the only way I can multitask while watching was in English.
Yeah.
So I remember watching Bleach, and I got to like probably episode 80, and then it was all just in Spanish dubbed, and there was no more English dubbed.
Yeah.
So then I had to, and I couldn't
Interesting.
even find like the Japanese subbed, so I actually just watched half of Bleach in Spanish.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think
What
when
the
I started
hell?
watching it in dubbed, it was right after the Espada, so I watched the
Yeah.
Espada in Spanish,
Oh,
which was
shit.
like kind of cool, but I
Yeah.
think I just thought it was more Spanish because of the Spanish dubbed. But yeah, me and my brother would always struggle to watch stuff in English.
Yeah. Yeah. But I guess that kind of sums up the way I got into anime.
Yeah.
It was kind of through my brother's friend. So I'm really lucky to have like met
Yeah.
that guy on the bus at that
Yeah.
time. Because as soon as like he showed it to me, I just went home, started
Yeah.
watching Bleach, and then YouTube was giving recommendations of like other anime. And I was like, damn, I found some really good stuff. It was like literally opening a treasure trove.
Yeah.
And there was so much anime.
YouTube's like that thing where you search up one thing and then it just opens you to that whole like world of whatever you were searching. Like, for example, you
Yeah.
found out Bleach and then you just find out a whole like rabbit hole full of all the other animes.
Yeah.
It just keeps giving you suggestions. It's been like that forever now.
Yeah.
Which I think that's a really cool thing. It's something that kind of gets annoying
Yeah.
sometimes.
Welcome to the algorithm.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I don't watch anime on YouTube anymore.
Yeah.
I kinda
Yeah,
only watch it,
those
like,
days
first
days are really gone.
2 months or something.
Yeah, it's a bit
Yeah.
boonk now.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, how about you guys? How did you get into like anime?
So I think originally, like, I used to watch Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh. So that was like the first quote unquote anime that I watched. But I think Yu-Gi-Oh is more of an anime. Like, I thought Pokemon was a cartoon, but I could tell Yu-Gi-Oh is different because like the character design is
Oh,
way
yeah,
different,
for
like
sure.
so different than
For
any
sure.
Oh, yeah.
other cartoon. Like Pokemon, like
Crazy hair.
so the Pokemon's like not that bad. Like Pokemon could pass as a cartoon. Some people think it's a cartoon, but I think Yu-Gi-Oh is like definitely less of a cartoon, more of an anime. And I used to watch so much Yu-Gi-Oh with my brother. Definitely like having my brother is what helped me get into anime, like my younger brother, because we used to watch Jetix so much. Like I used to, so I grew up in the Middle East and I only came to the UK for the summer. So we used to watch so much like cartoons and stuff in the summer, so much Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, Digimon, like all of those. Beyblade was another big one. Actually, funny enough, I watched Beyblade recently just to like rewatch and see what it was like, and the English dubbed is the most Canadian accents ever,
no.
and I don't remember it being so Canadian. And I was
Yeah.
with a Canadian friend, and he was like, "What is this Canadian TV show you're watching?" Because Tyson's like, "Oh, hey." You know, it's like extremely Canadian sounding.
Imagine
I
if it
didn't
was
remember that.
Australian. Just be like swearing the whole time.
Yeah, I think we started watching more and more of the spiky-haired cartoons. Like we got into Dragon Ball Z.
The good stuff.
I actually
still-
never watched Dragon Ball Z.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I had my grandmother. Basically, she would like record on VHS tapes everything that came on that was
Yeah.
like on Jetix. Basically, like she just recorded Jetix 24 hours a day, and she would number the like VHS tapes and say
Yeah.
what the VHS tape like recorded. So she put like Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, Beyblade
Yeah.
in one VHS tape.
You have your
And
own
she would
dealer.
stock them, bro.
Exactly.
For real, like we would go back and we would have each a suitcase, and then there would be an extra suitcase that we would check in that was all the VHS tapes for me and my brother to watch. So like, even though we lived in the Middle East, we were still watching UK cartoons, which we couldn't get. And also in the Middle East, they really like anime, but they don't know it's anime. So like, there's a TV show. Everyone that's lived in the Middle East will know this one called Space Tune, and it's like the Arabic.
Sounds like Looney Tunes.
Yeah, it was like the Arabic Cartoon Network or something.
Oh, okay,
But they
yeah, yeah.
always show all the 90s old anime. So growing up in the Middle East, kind of like, even though we were in the 2000s, it was very much like being in the 90s everywhere else. Like, it definitely was like 10 years behind when I was living there. So I was living in Abu Dhabi and Dubai before they were like popping. So I was living there, and yeah, it was like Space Tune was showing Captain Tsubasa, like some of those old
Captain
90s.
Tsubasa,
Yeah.
man, that was the anime that I practically like. That Detective Conan and
Yeah, they showed Detective Conan in Arabic.
Inuyasha were
Yeah.
like the three animes that I practically grew up watching.
Yeah. But I didn't understand anything. It's like, because they don't give you dub. There's no sub.
Yeah.
It's just all Arabic, and like pretty much it's like two guys, and they just make the voices for everyone. So they'll be like, a guy will be talking in a deep voice, and the next second they'll be like, "Oh, hello," and you can tell it's the same guy, but it's in Arabic, and there's like a lot of words flying around, and you're young, so you don't know what the hell's going on. So I was very confused.
I feel like there's two types of people and how they get into anime. It's like your type who kind of stumble into it kind of through the Dragon Ball Z, Captain Tsubasa, all these old school anime.
Yeah.
And then it's kind of like the other set who's me who kind of fell through it, like from
In your teen years.
Naruto or Bleach and all those kind of big 3 or big 4
Once
anime.
once you became like a teen.
Yeah.
Once you got into
That's
your
what it
teens,
But I
was.
actually
Such a
I got
feeling.
bullied so much for watching Naruto. So
Oh,
so we
shit.
started. So me and my brother had the VHS tapes of Naruto. My grandmother recorded it for us, and I was watching it. And I went to a British school in Abu Dhabi, and everyone there just like hated like anything that looked like anime. Like they called it out. Like they were like, "Oh, that's like a." Like stupid cartoon, like you're watching like the stupidest cartoons. Why don't you watch Cartoon Network like everyone else? Why are you watching this stupid like spiky haired shit? Like basically,
shit.
and they were like they used to make fun of you so much for watching it. So me and my brother were like secretly watching Naruto, and the reason that I say like I liked anime because of my brother is because I at the time was like I didn't want to be bullied, like I was young, and my brother just didn't care because my brother was in an age group where like you weren't really getting bullied because he's 2 years younger than me.
Yeah.
So I was in the age group where like people learned how to bully. And he was still in like the age group where like everyone's just like, oh, cool, you like something else, whatever. So he kept me watching Naruto like at home, and like he went and bought like Naruto figures when we were kids.
Yeah. It's kind of like your anime friend, right? Yeah, like
Yeah,
somebody
basically,
to
yeah. I
talk
had someone to yeah. So I
about
didn't
it.
have to talk to anyone at school. Like I just didn't tell anyone. And like when someone came over and saw the figures, they were like started making fun of me, and I was basically like, I'll beat you up. Like, if you go to school and tell anyone, I'll beat you up. So like, don't tell anyone. So he ended up going in and not telling anyone because for a kid, like I was definitely a bigger kid. Like in my year, I was always the tallest kid and like widest shouldered kid. And the same with my younger brother. So we were kind of a bit intimidating. And my friend was like, I don't want him to beat me up, so I'm not going to go tell anyone. So I had like my secret anime life outside of school, basically, when I was growing up.
Yeah. How about you, Ramin? How was your kind of
Well,
life?
without knowing that it was anime, I practically grew up watching like anime from where really young. From
Yeah, but
when
you
I
had like
could-
real anime and not like Pokemon, like Detective Conan.
yeah,
was,
no,
a
like
proper-
Pokemon would play like every day.
Yeah.
So basically, I grew up in Austria. I was born there in Vienna, and like every day I would like wait for like all the animes to play in the morning, and then also like after I got back from school in a channel called RTL. So like they'd play like a good section of like a bunch of anime. So they play like Captain Tsubasa, which we called in Austria Super Kickers.
Super Kickers?
Yeah, because
From Captain
you know,
Tsubasa?
yeah, Captain Tsubasa. Another
a
name
far
in
stretch.
German, it would be called Super Kickers because
wow.
they have like superpowers while they're playing football.
Okay,
you know?
yeah.
And then they'd play like Detective Conan, Inuyasha. There's another anime called Ranma
Ranma
Half.
Yeah,
Oh man, that was a really fun one to watch.
Yeah.
And obviously Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh, they played all the time. Digimon as well. Like I practically just grew up watching all of these like animes when I was younger, and like I really enjoyed watching Captain Tsubasa because in Austria especially in my class there was a big thing about like we need to get into the football team. Everyone plays football.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I know.
You
how
didn't
that
play
is.
anything else but football. That was like the thing in Austria. Like if you got into the football team, you're good at football
Yeah.
and you'd be
It's
people
kind
would
of
know
like the
you.
popular a lot, right?
Yeah, it's like it was a really popular sport. Like back then, I didn't even know like stuff like basketball, tennis, and stuff like that.
just anime.
I wasn't interested in like karate or stuff as well. Like my
Yeah.
parents would want me to go like karate
Yeah.
classes, but I was more interested in football because obviously in Captain Tsubasa that anime like really
Yeah.
influenced me as well.
Yeah.
And obviously like everyone's talking about football, everyone wants to
Yeah.
play football, so like that was like a really big thing. But like out of all of those, I think I still only watch like Detective Conan constantly.
Yeah, but it's
Like,
like
I
the
keep-
like one of the longest going
Oh man,
animes ever,
it's
right?
been going on for years.
Yeah.
Because like I've
It's still
been
going on, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's still,
yeah,
it
it's
hasn't
still- it's
finished yet,
ongoing,
which is cool. I mean, sometimes like there's no there's a lot of fillers,
Yeah,
but they don't feel like fillers. But the longer you watch it, the
Hate
more you
fillers.
keep watching, it's just like I just want it to end.
yeah,
Like now it feels like I just want it to end.
yeah,
It's really interesting how they've got kept the story going, like how the creator has carried on doing all this mystery
yeah,
stuff.
Yeah.
Because it's always something new. They're always like there's always a new way of like say the death happening
yeah,
or someone killing someone else. Like there's always a new
Yeah.
way. It's
I
really
think it's kind of
interesting.
like in like the crime films and series now, they're very much different from the ones which are in like the 80s and 90s.
yeah.
Like they've also evolved in
Yeah,
the ways that people
Scooby-Doo.
do crime. yeah.
yeah.
And like
For
how
sure.
the purpose of the culprit, like what their motive is.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can understand why Conan's been around for so long because like
Yeah.
it's literally evolved with the time.
I think also in general, in Japanese storytelling, they're not afraid. Like even if it's a shonen or something for younger kids, they're not afraid to put some dark
Oh yeah,
like
for sure.
backstory in it.
Oh yeah,
For
You know,
actually,
so
sure.
yeah.
like Scooby Doo is very much like, oh, I just wanted to get some money, or like I wanted to
Yeah,
get away
yeah,
with it if
yeah,
it wasn't
yeah.
for you kids. But I
Yeah.
feel like Detective Conan can also be a lot more dark than that, and like they're not scared to
yeah.
put that dark side into a story.
It's always much more dark. Like
Yeah.
when I was watching Naruto, I was like 14, right?
Yeah.
And then there's those episodes where Gaara comes in,
Yeah.
and he's literally killed his parents or something,
Yeah.
and he's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
casually just like having his mental breakdowns in the middle of the street, and
Yeah.
that's like killing anything that comes in his way.
Yeah.
And watching that when you're 14 is like it's not like watching Yu-Gi-Oh
Yeah.
or Pokemon or like your other Cartoon Network
Yeah.
cartoons.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things that actually drew me in. But at high school, so Raman, you actually went to high school in UK, right?
Yeah. I went high
Yeah.
school all of UK because I moved here in like 2011. So.
How was your experience like watching anime
So-
in high school?
In my high school, we actually had like anime club.
Oh wow,
Oh,
that's
damn.
new.
Yeah, so
Lucky.
it wasn't.
That
It
was
wasn't like
privilege.
it wasn't
Yeah.
like organized by the school. It would be like everyone who likes anime would gather like in the morning in the library, and we'd have like manga as well. And they'd
Wow.
have like competitions for like
I'm surprised.
manga books, like you can win manga
Yeah.
books and whatnot if you do this quiz and stuff like that. So it wasn't actually something that you got picked on in my school particularly
Oh, okay.
as
Man
much.
got
I
it
never.
easy.
Yeah,
I-
you had it easy, and
I
we
never
actually we both went to school
Strength
in
in
London,
numbers.
like East London
Yeah,
as
like
well.
your school was not that far away from my
Yeah,
school.
but
either.
I had a
Yeah.
complete different experience.
Yeah,
I think
I-
me and you probably had the same
yeah,
experience.
yeah.
I think it also like depends on like what kind of demographic is in your school. For example, my school, I went to Woodbridge, and it's a very like mixed school. There's like Asians, white kids, blacks, like everyone's
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
But like some schools are just like predominantly just brown kids, or
Yeah.
like predominantly Asians,
Yeah.
less whites. The
Yeah.
more east you go, the less like white people, or the less like different colored people you have, like less of a mix you'd have. I think that
That's
kind of also plays
interesting.
into the
Yeah, I think a lot more people settled in those areas, and
Well, I
like
was gonna
London is
say-
like that kind of diverse.
Yeah, because I went to an international school in the Middle East, so I had like, I think my school had 80 something countries in it, or
Oh,
100
wow.
something countries in
Yeah.
it, and I was still bullied to shit if
Oh,
if anyone
shit.
saw me watching anime. So I feel
Yeah.
like that didn't have any effect on how they treated anime in my school.
Yeah, like my school was quite diverse. We had like a
Yeah.
lot of different people in it, but the experience with anime was like horrendous. Like I would get bullied for watching anime if people knew like I was watching anime. So I kind of kept it really like on the low. I think because like the people like in my year and like the school,
Yeah.
their main focus was football and watching football, playing football.
Yeah.
listening to like lots of like rap, trying to be like gangster,
Yeah.
like all of that stuff. Like, and I didn't care. I was listening to like rock music, and everyone was like, "Why are you listening to
Bro, I
rock
remember
music?"
when I was younger, someone asked me who I preferred, 50 Cent or Eminem, and
Yeah.
I thought they were like talking about a coin and M&Ms. Like I was so out of it. I had no idea, and I was like Eminem, and the guy was like, "Why?" And the other guy was so happy that I said Eminem, and I was like, "Well, they're good sweets." And the guy looked at me, and they were like, they laughed because they thought I was joking, but I had no clue what they were talking about at the time.
Yeah. And I remember like a specific memory of how I kind of try to hide that I was watching an anime and manga, right?
Yeah.
So it was French class, right? And I think it was like year 8 or year 9. And basically it was the first week of term, right? And they give you a book and your task is to like decorate the book.
Yeah.
And you go home, you print some pictures off and you,
I
stick
know
it
what you're saying. Yeah,
into
no.
the book.
Mhm.
All right. So I think the majority of people kind of stuck in like what they like WWE or football teams or like pictures of France and like food and all that kind of
France.
stuff.
Jesus.
So
France was a big
can you
team
guess
back in the day.
Yeah. Can you guess what I put in my book?
Just
Naruto?
a bunch of anime stuff.
Yeah, it
Right.
was like anime stuff, right? So I mixed that with Bleach and Naruto
Yeah.
because I was like really, really big fans.
Yeah.
And the Bleach one that I had, right, was him turning into a hollow.
Yeah.
So it didn't even look like a normal person. It just looked like some demonic like artwork.
Yeah.
And then I had Naruto who was like I think it was the fox.
Yeah, the fox
the
form,
fox,
yeah.
the fox
Mantua
form.
Fox, yeah.
And like to me, I know what it is.
Yeah.
But if someone was looking at it, they'd be like, "What the
Yo,
is this?"
the crazy thing is, I used to do exactly the same thing on. I don't know what books you did it on, but I did it on the planner that we got every year.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So, like,
I
you get
literally
your
did
year
it every
planner,
single
right?
book that I
And
could.
then I used to like just put stickers because I used to also like later on, like around year 9, year 10, I started going to
Yeah.
Anime Expo
Oh,
in,
okay.
in the Excel
Yeah.
Center. So like I'd buy like stickers
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
I used to
And
get like so much anxiety over it
I
because
had
like
no problem.
when you get the books right and like a student's passing the books out, they look at what's on the book, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And on mine was just a bunch of like Bleach stuff and anime stuff. So a
so
few times like
crazy.
they literally just like say like, "What is this? Why is there a cartoon here?"
It's
And I'm
so
like,
crazy.
"Shit, it's mine." Like someone's gonna say some kind of shit,
Yeah.
right? And then a few times like people did throw my book around because it had like anime stuff. And it was kind of just like a bit of a piss take. And a lot of the time when I would say, I watch anime or like I'm watching Naruto or Bleach, like, well, what are you doing, right? They'd be like, "Why are you watching cartoons? It's just cartoons." And that used to kind of like tick me off so much
Yeah.
because it's kind of like humiliation and kind of like trying to make me sound like or look immature.
Yeah.
But
We-
anime is not cartoon,
See, that's always going to be like the debate. Why are you watching cartoon?
Well, the other
right?
thing that's funny now is like there's adult cartoons. So like everyone,
Yeah.
like a couple of
Yeah.
years ago was watching Rick and Morty, no problem.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
People, adults watch cartoons all the time now, but like I used to get that as well. Like, why are you watching cartoon? But there was such a big group of people in my school
Yeah.
that watched anime, that knew about anime and manga,
Yeah.
that there wasn't any problems. Like I used to do a lot of like manga chibi art.
Oh yeah,
Oh, like
everyone
the
did chibi.
small
I
ones,
think.
like
I
the
think
small-
everyone.
I
you
couldn't
didn't.
draw for
small-
shit.
I couldn't
Yeah.
draw either, but I still tried.
Because I did art as a GCSE, so like
Oh okay.
I used to draw in my planner all the time.
Like
and,
I tried to
people-
draw it, mine was just potatoes.
Yeah, people would appreciate the fact that like the people who were good at art, that we were able to do that stuff. So you never got technically bullied for like, because what are you gonna bully someone for being good at art?
Yeah.
Like
They'll find a way. Believe me, they'll find
It's
a
probably
way.
happened somewhere.
Because everyone used to have to do art mandatory before choosing it as a
Yeah.
GCSE, right?
Yeah.
So like if you were good at it, people wouldn't actually pick
Yeah.
on you.
But
if you were
I
really
just
good at
remember
it.
drawing like shoes. Like, cause like I got told to like take off my shoe, put it on the table, and then draw the shoe.
We even had to do
as
like
art
self
practice.
portraits and
Bro, I
stuff.
had
Like obviously,
such
there's
bad art
people who are
teachers.
really bad
Yeah.
at art, but like my art teacher, she was really really good, and like she would know who she would have to like ask to pick it for GCSE and stuff
Yeah,
like
but I
that.
also feel like I had a really bad art teacher. Like she was just a horrible woman. Like we would be doing, I don't know, just paint your feelings or something one class. You know what I mean? Like fine for a topic, right? But then she'd go around and look at people's art and be like,
Yeah.
"That's horrible. You should never have painted that."
Yeah.
"Oh, I can't believe like this is so shit." Like she would literally say shit in class.
Wow.
And I was like, "You're gonna scar these kids forever. They're gonna hate art.
They're
They're
gonna
like
do
never
art.
gonna yeah."
And then there's that one kid who's drawn like
No,
skull
so
and
there's like a
bones
kid
and,
that like drew an
There was
apple and it looks
always-
real, and she was
Yeah.
like, "Oh, this is the best art ever." And I was like, "There's so many people that probably would have enjoyed art or been good at like I don't know impressionist art or something."
There was
weird.
always really good people.
Yeah, you know what I
around,
mean. But like she
always.
just completely destroyed them.
And the crazy thing is, you know, like we had those tech classes like food tech and like
Yeah.
IT tech, and
Yeah.
there was another one where you had build stuff.
Oh,
Wood tech?
DT.
DT,
Yeah.
yeah.
I
Oh,
call
yeah,
it DT.
So,
yeah.
yeah,
Design
DT.
and technology.
Design and technology
Yeah.
was one of the GCSE, and like most of the kids who did DT for their GCSE, a lot of their work was like anime characters, or
Really?
like really anime based. And these,
I
and
think
then
your school really liked
A
that.
lot of-
Because if
a lot of
that
the
happened at my
kids-
school,
a lot of the
that
kids
shit would be
that
broken.
were,
Yeah.
a lot of the kids that were in DT were kind of like I'm a big man, like I'm popular, like they were the kind of groups that would pick on people,
Yeah.
but they were also the ones who had like interest in anime and manga.
That's interesting.
So
yeah,
like
he
even
went to a
if
completely different
even if
school.
you
Yeah,
got
bro.
bullied for something else, if you got along with them in that kind of sense and when they
Yeah.
were able to talk about it, they would like kind of leave you alone because a lot of the kids that did that stuff, they were bullies. And
Okay.
Damn.
they would bully a lot
Yeah.
of people.
So then I guess like from your school experience, right, you probably had anime friends in it.
Oh, I had a lot of anime friends.
Because for me, it was really hard to find somebody who actually liked
yeah, no,
anime,
yeah.
apart from my brother and
Yeah,
his
just my
friends.
brother.
But like, you know, they were 2 years older than me. I'm not hanging out with them every single day, right? So like a lot of the time, I didn't have any like anime friends in real life, and I only made like a few anime friends when I like started video gaming. Like I was playing back in the day like Guild Wars.
Okay.
And I think the majority of people who played Guild Wars, like they kind of knew about anime and started watching it.
Yeah.
So I made like a few online friends from that. And then, like you said, there's that anime convention as well, right?
Yeah,
in
I used to
London?
go with like a group of people. Like from school, we would go
Yeah.
all together.
Like I think after like maybe year 10, year 11, when there was a few more people who liked anime, then we started going together. But yeah, I think like my anime friend came like later. Like the first time I got like an anime friend was like year 10, year 11.
I think. Do you mean like someone else that liked anime, or just someone you felt comfortable enough to tell that you liked anime?
But both. Yeah. Because like a lot of people in my school, they like after a while, it's like they were in the closet. Like they didn't tell anybody.
Closet
that-
fans.
Oh no,
Yeah.
for sure.
The
A
anime
lot of-
closet.
I know
Yeah.
100% that all the kids that were like, "Oh, this is cartoon," actually watched anime,
Yeah,
but
probably.
because there's this popularity in line. Because in high school there was this thing. There was these popular kids,
Yeah.
and then there was like the bullied kids, and then there was like
The
the
bullied kids.
the weird kids that you just don't pick on.
Yeah.
They do their own thing. They never come out at lunch, and they're like doing their
Yeah.
own thing in the library or like in another room playing cards or whatever.
Yeah.
And then they're just like the regular kids who just stay out from everybody, right?
Okay.
And like the popular kids, they would never admit
I think
that they'd
Roman's
watch
gone to a
anime.
different school than
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
For sure.
I had like what you would assume one of those generic high schools where there's like different groups. I feel like I went to that kind of school. I don't
feel
know
like
how,
most
I
schools-
think most schools have like that kind of different groups.
but it was like really specific. You
Yeah,
didn't
it sounds like
know-
your groups were very specific.
Yeah.
Like,
Very,
most
very
people just have
specific.
like normal kids, weird kids, and like
the
quote unquote
the
popular
druggies,
kids. Yeah.
the druggies, and then like the troublemakers.
Yeah, we had really like
the jocks,
specific
kind
groups,
of, you know.
like really.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
we had.
we
those-
didn't we didn't
had
really
them
have
as well.
that because like so the school that I went to for high school was in Doha in Qatar, and I think that it was quite different. It was an American school, so it was already a bit weird for me. The other funny thing is I got bullied for having a British accent when I went to that school.
Oh wow.
So like
That's
now
the
people
worst.
people think that British accents are cool.
Yeah.
And like when I went there, like people made fun of me so much. I even had English teachers. Like if I spelt color OU, they would fail me on the
Oh, for-
paper.
What in
Yeah,
school?
and I was
Wow.
like, but this is in English, and she was like, well, we're teaching in American here. It's American
They
English
teach
only.
English in America.
I was
Wow.
like, no, but I was like, what do you mean American English? Like
Yeah.
I can, if as long as I'm consistently
You're speaking the
writing.
Queen's English, you know. That's better.
The
Yeah,
real English, the
yeah.
English that got
Well,
brought into.
I
the
don't mind.
continent.
Like I get it. Like it was an American school, but also if I wrote the whole paper with the same spelling and everything is OU or whatever, you
Yeah.
shouldn't
Interesting.
mark me down. If I was like mixing words and I didn't know the difference, then yeah, fine. But yeah, I had some really issues about
Actually, I had the same kind of thing. I never realized this, but in Austria, like, because I went to a international primary school as well,
that. Yeah.
so they would teach you English, but they would teach you English spoken in American accent, but the grammar and everything is in like
No,
British
it's-
English,
British English.
Yeah.
Wow,
in
okay.
like
Okay.
in like worldwide English, pretty
Yeah.
much.
Ramen just invented his whole life. Like everything sounds so
So like
different.
I would speak in an American accent,
Yeah.
but I would write in British English.
Okay.
Obviously, when I came here, that all changed.
Yeah.
I picked up the British
Yeah.
accent, and then like everything became normal again.
I think you have a different experience in high school in terms of
Yeah.
anime because like I think in your
Oh, for sure.
school like it was already kind of popular,
Mm.
but like for me it wasn't popular until maybe
I
like
don't think it ever got
4 or
popular
5
for
years
me.
ago. I feel like apart from school, like in school it wasn't popular, but after school, right? In the
Oh, yeah,
last
wait,
like 4 or
in
5 years,
university and stuff.
yeah.
Okay.
I feel like the anime is just so much bigger
Mm.
than it was before. I'm not sure like why. I think a big reason possibly is because of Netflix. Right,
Okay.
they're making so much more of their
But
own
Netflix-
anime.
did
And
Netflix
they're
start
getting the
doing it?
licenses as
Did
well.
they start doing it recently? I swear that was only in the past like
I-
2-3 years that they
I
actually
think-
started doing it.
Well, for me, I believe that anime worldwide, like outside of like the niche market of anime, that was worldwide. It became more popular because of channel like those like cartoon channels where they showed anime
the
in,
late
like,
night
morning,
ones, right? They used to
in the
they
morning
used
or
to
late
play
night,
at 10
and
o'clock,
also the at the time what the big three animes there was One Piece, Naruto, and Bleach because
Yeah.
everyone would always like in most of like the
Yeah.
manga books that you would buy, you'd have the page with the advertisement and it would always have Luffy, Ichigo, and Naruto
Yeah, I feel
on it.
like
Yeah.
if you liked One Piece, you didn't get bullied as much as if you like Naruto or Bleach.
Oh, yeah,
I don't know why.
So like
It's
those
just-
those
it's
three.
older.
Did you notice that?
Yeah,
A
One Piece.
bit, a
One Piece
bit.
was always the one
The
Yeah.
people
like
never
really
bullied
popular
any One
one.
Piece fans. I don't know
Yeah.
why. I was like getting bullied left and right when I
Yeah.
was a kid for liking Naruto and Bleach, and then like the next man who liked the Straw Hats, like no one said anything
Yeah.
to him. They're like, oh, okay, he just likes
The
he
Straw
likes
Hats, the
One Piece. I was
pirates.
like,
Yeah.
why is he different?
Yeah.
You know?
But
But I think it was
also-
those three at the time of those three is when it actually blew up, and I think it just depends on what kind of like environment or what kind of like
Yeah.
friend
Yeah.
circles you were with. It depends on
Yeah.
them as well.
Yeah.
And I think it also kind of became mainstream when like games started like influencing from anime.
Yeah.
Because when I used to play League of Legends, right, I used to play a lot. Like a lot of the skins and the types of
Yeah,
animations they're doing
definitely.
were very Japanese inspired, and
Yeah.
like you could clearly see that it's been taken from like an anime kind of environment, and they've tried to put it into the game. And then I feel like there's a lot more places as well to watch anime now. It's like it's a lot more mainstream, and there's a lot of places to kind of talk about it. Forums, even Crunchyroll. Like Crunchyroll's been
Yeah, bro.
it's blown
I
up
was an
quite a
OG
while.
Crunchyroll user. People who used Crunchyroll back in like 2006 to 2008 know what I'm talking about. If you went on that app when it was like me and my brother were on it, you could only watch Naruto, Bleach, and like I think one other anime. I don't even think it was One
Yeah.
Piece. Like you could only watch pretty much 2 popular anime, and there was like 2 or 3 that were kind of crap or
Yeah.
that were like no, I didn't watch at least, and no one I knew watched. But me and my brother were watching on there, and like every 3 to 4 minutes there would be an ad break, and you'd have to watch the ad.
Yeah.
And it's like either that or you watch it on YouTube. But the reason me and my brother used Crunchyroll is because we found out that Crunchyroll like quote unquote supports the anime
Yeah.
community. So like if you watch on YouTube, no one gets the proceedings from that. No one can see how many viewers. And like we had just gone through a phase of like so many animes getting cancelled that we liked. I can't remember what they were at this point, but I remember that there were so many that had like 1 season, then it just stopped. And I was like, how can I support? Like, how can they must know
Yeah.
there's so many people that want to watch this.
Yeah.
So then I started using Crunchyroll. So like, Crunchyroll, you owe me. Been around from like literally when you were created.
Yeah.
Sponsor us.
And I feel like there's a lot more mainstream anime that brought in a new audience.
Yeah,
Like,
for sure.
like One Punch Man. It brought in people who
Bro,
Oh,
never
my friends-
watched
so my
an
friend's
anime before.
Arab dad watched One Punch
Yeah,
Man. Like,
my
like
uncle watched it as
yeah,
well.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, he was like, he recommended to my friend. He's like, oh, you should watch this TV show. It's really good. And my friend's like, oh, what is it? And he's like, oh, it's this fighting one. It's so interesting. The main character's so funny. Blah blah blah. Like, goes through this whole spiel talking about it,
Yeah.
and then he goes, oh, it's called One Punch Man. And my friend was like,
Yeah.
bruh,
Yeah.
you know, like
Yeah,
it's
I
really
think-
it's
good.
an anime.
I think there
and-
was a huge pull in audience. Like a lot of people jumped in when like One Punch Man, Attack on Titan, those
Yeah,
like
Attack on
animes
Titan, I think
came
also,
on. It
yeah.
grabbed a lot of attention from a lot of people who
Yeah.
were probably like casual watchers of anime, and they weren't.
Well, you know,
as,
the
like, into
interesting
it.
thing is, like, I feel like in the 90s, people watched a lot of anime and no one thought anything about it. So,
Yeah,
like,
you just didn't-
Evangelion, Cowboy Bebop,
Yeah, you
like,
just didn't. I think a lot of people outside of Japan just didn't know it was anime.
Yeah.
It was just
Yeah.
cartoons.
but I feel like back then you didn't, like, there was not a
There
bullying
was no
culture. I feel
problem
like it
about
was
it.
like in the 2000s where it became like a bullying thing and then it like went away again. So it's a bit interesting to think about that.
Yeah.
But when I was in school, I had like no one except for my brother, and then I eventually got a friend who read manga as well.
Yeah.
And he basically became my best friend. Like I still talk to him a lot, but there was my brother and him and no one else. And then I had this librarian join, and the librarian was like, "Oh, I'm just gonna bring," like he's like, "Oh, I want to change the library so much, like I want
Yeah.
to revamp it," and he
Mhm.
started bringing in.
Manga.
Like we used to get Shonen Jump shipped from the US to our school, which
Yeah.
was sick.
That
So I
is
used to,
sick.
and like I'm telling you, like no one read manga. It was just me, my friend, and my brother. And my brother ended up getting a friend who moved from Japan. So there were 4 of us in the whole school that liked manga.
Yeah.
And I could tell because he would get the Shonen Jump, and like the Shonen Jump would get like free Yu-Gi-Oh cards, like free like posters and stuff in it, and no one would rip it
Yu-Gi-Oh.
out. So
Yeah.
like there would be other magazines that people would like destroy the magazine trying to get the free thing before anyone else got it. And like I could go a week after we got the latest Shonen Jump, and like
Yeah.
Yu-Gi-Oh cards would still be in there because I was the
Like,
only guy going to
Yu-Gi-Oh
read it.
cards were the thing. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, I think also like in Austria, people didn't like bully you about anime as well because of Yu-Gi-Oh. Stuff like Yu-Gi-Oh
Oh
and
yeah, 'cause people
Pokemon
liked
cards.
it. Yeah, fair
You
enough.
Yeah.
play Yu-Gi-Oh cards. You play Pokemon cards. Like you'd battle in the park.
It's funny because they're so not. I feel like they're so not popular anymore. Even though like
Not really.
the thing is they
But-
have all the new Pokemon
Yeah.
cards that have like the crazy graphics
Yeah.
on everything.
Yeah,
But I
yeah,
feel
yeah.
like now it's people our age collecting those
Yeah,
cards.
just
still.
collecting them.
But
yeah.
if you go to some conventions, right, they
Yeah.
have
They do
like
still have the competitions and
massive Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh competitions.
Bro, I never
Like,
understood the Pokemon card.
Yeah,
game.
I
Like,
don't know how to play
I
it.
don't
I
understand
don't
how to play
it.
Pokemon, but I used to
yeah, kill it at
like
Yu-Gi-Oh, man.
kill it
Yeah,
at
yeah.
Yu-Gi-Oh. Like I had all of the obelisks
Yeah.
and everything. I had the sphinxes and everything, and they got robbed. I got
shit.
robbed.
Yeah, I had a
Like
couple
while
things
playing,
robbed from me.
That's cool.
while dueling.
Yeah.
No, this was back
No,
in Austria.
I had a kid come to my house and he straight up stole like so many rare cards from me and like rare
What the-
Pokemon cards.
Yeah.
And when I went to his house, I found all of my cards and
Yeah.
I was like gonna take them, and he's like, he went to his stairs. He was on the 3rd
Yeah.
floor of his house, like in Abu Dhabi at the time.
Yeah.
And he was like, "I'll fall down the stairs. Tell my mum you push me if you take your cards."
What the hell?
Yeah, and then
Yeah,
like the
no,
kid ended up
crazy
being a bit
shit.
psychotic.
Yeah.
Like later on, he went
Kids
to
do
special
that.
school and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
But I was like, "Damn,
Yu-Gi-Oh
this
cards.
kid's like,
Yeah.
Were a big thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
They were really important
I-
when
I-
you were younger.
I thought I had a really good idea, right, with these Yu-Gi-Oh cards. So what I tried doing, right, is printing the Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
Bruh.
So I literally
Oh my God, nah,
You're that kid.
I had really
could
bad
not.
like luck with opening the packs, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't really have like Exodia and all that shit,
Yeah.
right? So I printed out the whole Exodia, like his face, his arms, and his legs, and
Oh,
I just
no.
decided to like stick it on top of another card.
yeah.
And then only then when I was like cutting it up and sticking it, I was like, whoa, this looks absolute shit.
Did you ever play with them?
No.
Oh, okay.
Because like at the time I thought it was like a really good idea. I was
You'd
like,
get
yeah, you know
Yeah,
what?
I
disqualified
tried.
if you-
I tried
I can like
printing
sell
money.
it, or I can do this, I can do that, right? But then when it got onto the card and I looked at it and like the color was like fading, it didn't
Yeah.
even print out properly. I was
Yeah.
like, what
And
a
he
waste
probably
of
wasted
time.
like 50 quid using that printer ink, bro.
There was also
Yeah.
Beyblade as well. Beyblade was a
Beyblade
big,
was
That was
big
Japanese
game.
like
inspired
that
as
was
well, right?
yeah.
Beyblade.
Beyblades,
And
yeah.
Beaterman. I don't know if you guys remember Beaterman.
I don't know what that
No.
is. No.
It's basically like those like little robot looking figures that would shoot out
Oh,
balls.
bro, no. Those that was a different name for that. I swear. What did you call it?
I know it as Beaterman.
Beaterman.
No, there was another
Wait,
name
is
for it.
Is it?
No, there's another name for it. Search it up. Because me and my brother had those, but like again, only me and my brother
was
had
it
Beyblades,
called?
and only me and my brother had that stuff.
Yeah.
Like we're the only kids in the whole school that had that
Yeah.
stuff.
But I think
Yeah, no, this stuff, Beaterman, marble shooting toy produced in Japan. And
Okay,
it had
there's
its-
another. Oh, it's
it
called
had
type in like Bakuman. I think.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Bakugan, right?
Yeah.
Bakugan.
Is it Bakugan?
That's the animals, right?
Yeah, no, but they're like little monsters. They're also like a circle, and they open
We
up
also
on the magnetic
like I
cards.
used to play with
Okay.
Bakugan.
Yeah,
stuff
okay,
as
so
well.
yeah.
It rings a bell, but I can't remember.
Bakugans were basically after I think Beaterman, so they were the ones that were rolled up
Yeah.
as like balls, and then you'd like throw it onto the mat,
Okay.
and then they would like come out as its like
Yeah.
monster, and
Yeah.
you'd like battle each other with that.
Yeah.
That was a pretty
Yeah.
fun game as
But
well.
I think overall, like anime has become a lot more mainstream. Like
Yeah, definitely. It's not like little
Yeah.
toys or whatever.
Like there's
anymore.
even like famous people who speak about like anime,
Yeah.
and
So
Yeah.
like Kanye
they've
West,
helped
for
it.
example,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
recently, someone tweeted him a picture of a new Nike shoe, and he tweeted back saying, "This gives me '90s anime vibes. I want to buy the shoe." Basically, and I was like, massive.
Nice.
He's like a massive Adidas spokesperson, right? So for him
Yeah.
to
Yeah,
like
Yeezys.
call out the shoe and also like call out '90s anime culture. Also, like his music videos, so like Stronger, is completely based off Akira. Basically.
Oh yeah, yeah.
He talks about Akira quite a lot. And there's like a lot of other rappers too. Like definitely anime is very popular in raps.
Yeah. Like I actually found out like Michael B. Jordan, right?
Oh yeah, he
So,
had the Coach collab. That was
yeah,
good. Did you see
and
that?
also, no, I didn't actually see that one. What was
Okay.
that?
So basically, he had a Michael B. Jordan X Coach, but basically it was Naruto X Coach.
Oh, okay.
If you search it up, the
Yeah.
clothes are really really cool.
And
I'm-
here's a quote by him as well, right?
Yeah.
Michael B. Jordan, right? He goes, "Anime is something that was a big piece of my childhood, my adult life, and my creativity." And he said this like when he was doing Black Panther.
Yeah, so
right?
he was really big and
And have you seen his costume in Black Panther?
Mm.
It's basically a reference to Vegeta or Vegeta
Oh,
in
Vegeta.
Dragon Ball Z. It's the same kind of outfit,
okay.
like the grey kind of outfit, like kind of cuts at the shoulders and it's
Oh, I
got
didn't
like
realise.
the packs.
Yeah.
And then I saw a picture of it compared to the Dragon Ball Z version, and it looks very identical. Even the
Oh,
way like
damn.
he stands as well in the pose, and he said it himself, like it's a reference
Oh
to
damn,
that.
I didn't know. But yeah, the coach collab was crazy too. That guy,
they
defo
look pretty good.
big advocate. I think also like a lot of new school rappers. So like Lil Uzi has like an entire music video where he has like anime eyes. You know, so like they enlarged his eyes and
Yeah.
like they enlarged all the girls in the video's eyes. He has a lot of anime stuff, and even has a song called Sasuke, where he just says Sasuke like 8 times. But I think there's other
Oh yeah,
ones.
it's just like Sasuke,
Sasuke,
and the
Sasuke,
video
yeah.
is actually them fighting, right?
Yeah,
Like it's like an anime fight or something.
yeah. So yeah, there's a lot of anime stuff in rap now for sure. Waka Flocka is like suck my Dragon Balls, bitch. Call me Goku. I remember that line. Like I heard that line and I was so shocked. Like I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
But I was definitely blasting that pretty loud when I heard it.
So I think like one of the main things that drew me into anime was the story, because it was like very different from what I was watching at that young age. It actually had like a backbone and like different arcs that would build up. And even though there was like a few fillers in these animes that I was watching, there was always a story in the middle, a story at the end, and it wasn't very episodic. So I think like because it was also a lot of fiction, a lot of sci-fi, there'd be monsters, there'd be like demons or like ninjas, like for Naruto, like Soul Reapers with Ichigo and like the Bleach world. All of this world building was like so like new to me. And once I started watching an anime, I just got engrossed into that world and I just wanted to know like so much about it, the different kind of locations in there and the different kind of like the people. And like in anime, I feel like there's always so many different personalities that each character has. So it's always something new and something different. And I think another thing that brought me into anime was video games. For example, like Final Fantasy. Like I used to play that game so much, and then playing like, you know, the Realm Reborn, which is the MMORPG version. All of these kind of like elements of being in a different world, like a sci-fi world, and different characters.
Yeah.
Kind of
So you're just an
made me-
isekai fan.
Yeah, it's definitely like the izakaya genre was really, really unique when it came out. I feel like it's a bit saturated now.
Yeah.
Because it's like anything can be in it.
It's just because of Sword Art Online having like 25 seasons of the same thing,
Oh
basically.
yeah. Like the first season of Sword Art was
definitely
top notch.
Yeah.
After that, it was kind of like,
Yeah, and then there's so many
don't know what
started
I'm
copying
watching.
it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, in general, like what drew me to anime was the deep story, the characters, and like not all of the anime have a deep story, but the ones that do, they're like
I
top
think
notch.
it's
Like
just the
like
variety of
Full Metal
stories as well.
Alchemist,
Yeah.
like that
Yeah,
story
yeah.
in there and the characters in there, you just get so involved and you start feeling towards like the characters. That's another thing as well with anime. It can really get you feeling like you can get the feels from like certain
Oh, for sure,
scenes
for
and
sure.
like certain
It's not your generic like just
Yeah.
cartoon for kids, like
Yeah.
all fun and games and stuff like that. I feel like a lot of like anime also has like the characters can be relatable to a lot of people in life. For example, sports animes, right? A lot of those characters are, a lot of people who do sports, for example, that watch anime or are very interested in like sports anime, they can relate to that, or they can get this sense of like, oh, if I do something like this, I could become like that, or like feel good about themselves and stuff like that, you know.
Yeah. I think there's like two sides to that. Like there's a side where you can relate to the anime characters,
Yeah.
but then there's a side where it's just absolutely bonkers and crazy.
Oh yeah.
Like, you know, One Punch Man, Mob Psycho, all of these really
Stuff for fun. you know?
yeah, over
Well,
the
it's
top.
like in
Killer
Kuroko no
Kill.
Basket, right? Like the like the random
Yeah,
powers
the crazy
that they
powers
have.
that they have.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah. He's like invisible
Yeah.
to everyone. Like no one has that lack of presence.
Yeah, he's like
Yeah.
5'6", and he's like being
He has
these like
no
6'4" beast.
making him
Yeah.
invisible
So yeah,
and
that's the other
everything.
thing like about sports animes. A lot of because a lot of Japanese people are quite short. A lot of the main characters in sports manga and sports anime are very short. Like Whistle is one of my favorite manga ever as a football manga. It's like based on Captain Tsubasa.
Yeah.
But the main character is extremely small. And like even though I'm 6'3", like I still found a way to imagine myself being that like small guy or like
Yeah.
tying it to something else, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Like I can definitely like see that small person kind of point
Yeah.
of view in terms of from the anime, right? Like there's always a character in there
in
who's
Haikyuu.
shorter
Yeah.
than the rest of them. If it's sports
I
anime,
love
yeah.
Haikyuu.
But even like in the other anime, there's always somebody who's like smaller than the rest, but they
Yeah.
still get the girl or still
Yeah.
get like girls or whatever.
Yeah.
They always end up like it always shows you like the struggle, right? And
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of like in terms of like sports anime, it shows you the struggle and how you overcome it, and it gives a lot of people like hope. Like if they're, for example, like feeling like they're struggling, they feel
Yeah.
like, oh, you know what? If I work hard enough as well, I can overcome. And for like if you grow up watching anime, or if you're like younger and you watch anime, you get this sense of like reassurance kind of like, oh, I can also become what I want to
Yeah.
become.
Yeah.
Like, like deep ingrained into like these shonen, specifically shonen animes, it gives you the message like you can do it if you try
Very
hard
positive,
enough.
yeah.
If you really try, like you
And-
can do it.
Yeah, and I think as well what drew me into anime was the idea of Japan in general. Because when I was here, I was living in London, living in UK, like anything Japanese related to me was very cool or very unique and very different, like very foreign. Like, what is this environment? And I think that started off like when I was really young, like watching just random stuff that came up on the cinema. Like if it was like Jackie Chan stuff, even though he's like in Hong Kong and like, you know, in the China area,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
still the same kind of vibe. But then I started watching like Takeshi's Castle and like learning about ninjas and
Takeshi's
samurais.
Takeshi's Castle
Yeah.
was a thing.
Yeah, and like that whole kind of like atmosphere around Japan, right? The whole idea of Japan was like very, like for me, it was like held in high regards. Like this is somewhere I want to go and somewhere I want to explore.
It's like
There's going to be like
exoticism, right?
yeah. It's like
like a
seen
new
as like a
thing,
great
yeah.
place when I was younger.
Because it's
Obviously,
so
I know
different.
now like it's different and
Yeah.
it's not
just
really
so different from how
that
we
good.
grew up.
Also,
right?
yeah, I think back in the day it wasn't like a tourist destination. Like now,
Yeah.
like Tokyo's definitely everyone's like, oh, I want to go to Tokyo or whatever. But I think back in the day it wasn't such a like it was too foreign. It was like too much of a leap to
yeah.
go there. It was too different.
Yeah, and like even when I was, I used to play like a lot of JRPGs and like Japanese video games, and like
Yeah.
there's a few that focus specifically around like the center of Tokyo, like Shin Megami Tensei. I'm not sure if you know it, but that was like an RPG
Yeah.
game, right? And there was another one called The World Ends With You, and these were like on handheld consoles, like Nintendo DS and another one. But those were like so centered around being in Tokyo and showing like the idea of Tokyo being this amazing place and like it's so busy and like the Shibuya crossing and like
Yeah.
the different kind of natural things they have as well, like the Mount Fuji, like everything around it kind of made me interested in Japan in a way that, well, I want to go there. I want to see it.
Oh,
And
for
because
sure.
anime was coming out from Japan and they always had those scenes around, you know, the Japanese kind of high school and like after high school they go here and there's like the train tracks and like the wonderful scenery. I think that's another thing as well about scenery, because like I've been in London all my life. I don't really see too much greenery.
Yeah.
But in Japan, it's like the idea that you get is like, you know, mountains and like rice fields and forests. It's like everything just like drew me in.
A lot of nature.
So I just try to consume as much as I could when I was younger, and even now. So yeah, I think that's one of the main reasons.
That you enjoyed it. What about you, Raman?
Yeah, no, I agree with like a lot of the points that he's saying on how like anime kind of drew you in. Obviously, for me, it's a little bit different of like a drawing in. It's something that I just grew up with, something that was just natural. I just watched it on TV, and later on, like after growing up, you find out that it's anime. But I never thought of it like, oh, okay, it's anime. It's completely different, right?
Yeah.
I always thought of it as just something that I enjoy watching and something that's just natural to me. And I think it was just because like when I watched like cartoons compared to animes, it just felt like animes were a bit more mature, a bit more
Yeah, I know what you mean.
lifelike than cartoons. Cartoons was just something that you enjoy, that's something that's fun. Anime had a bit of a depth in it, and I've always like realized that there's something more to this. They're trying to give like a more of a message to people that are watching it, right? Like different messages from different animes, obviously, and I like that kind of like drew me in from like comparing it to like cartoons, which you would just watch for fun. Anime, you'd like really invest in when you watch it, rather than just like, oh, I can watch this today, and then like a year later, oh, let me just watch it for fun again.
Yeah.
Whereas like anime, it's like you really have to like get into it.
Yeah.
You know?
I think for me it was probably the story more than anything. Like I liked the art a lot. I liked a lot of the things that you guys are talking about. But I think when I was watching TV shows, I found that it, like in general, like I enjoyed the violent side of some of the animes. So like Bleach, for example, like a lot of the fighting animes. So when I was younger and I was watching Bleach, I like loved the fight scenes. Dragon Ball Z, I loved the fight scenes. My brother's the same. But like we were like growing up, I don't know, I was probably like 5. Whenever GTA San Andreas came out, I wasn't very old, and I told my dad to go get it for me. So I was like very used to playing very violent games as a kid. And I think that when I was watching cartoons, sometimes it was like too vanilla.
No,
I think watching like different scenens, so like Mirai Nikki, it's like such a gory anime, especially exactly. And there's like Black Lagoon is just like all killing, you know. So like I liked that side of it, but then I also liked the other story points. So I liked that it was quite different than a lot of other TV shows, and I liked that there's a lot of humor in anime. I think it's quite funny, like especially there's some really funny ones, like Psyche K made me like cry from laughter the whole time I watched it, you know. And there's not many TV shows that make me laugh that much, and I think that I really vibe with the humor that's in it, like the Japanese humor. So I think that's probably what brought me in. But just in general, like even like you were saying, the art style, like I remember reading Death Note, and that's like really what made me starting to want to get into seinen more, because like I know that it's like kind of a shonen, but it's also kind of a seinen. Like it depends. Like when you read it, like if you read it as a kid and if you read it growing up, you see the different
for sure
different levels to it, and you can appreciate different like the way he's portrayed humans and how evil they are. You know, and it's kind of like that again, that kind of dark side to it, but then I think I just liked, as you said, it's like more mature, the story in general, and just the art of Death Note was like such a cool art style. I think it brought me into it a lot.
Yeah, it's funny that you say Death Note, Mirai Nikki, and Black Lagoon.
Yeah,
that's kind of like the OG anime. Like that's what a lot of people started out from, and like influenced them a lot. And I think for me, the anime that influenced me the most is probably Bleach, right? Just because of like the different arcs it had, the story arcs. And recently I actually, I bought like a manga set of Bleach because I'm trying to like give back, you know, to the community, support the creators and everything. And also just like I'm building a collection, right? And inside the collection, there was a short kind of first novel of Bleach that was unreleased.
Okay.
So by the author, Tite Kubo, And I read it, and do you know how strange it is? Like, if that was released, it would never be as popular as it is now.
Okay.
Right? And just for like a few kind of points around that first novel and what it was, right? So it starts off with like Ichigo already having his powers.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
And the only explanation around him getting his powers is Rukia like jumped on him. Okay.
Oh, okay.
And then when Rukia like jumps on him, she gives him his powers.
Yeah.
And when she gives him his powers, she turns like 10 centimeters tall. She's like tiny,
I
and she just
remember
hides.
Fairy.
She just like hides inside his like pocket or something.
Peter Pan and Tinkerbell.
And like it's really strange, like the different kind of even like the little bits inside. Like for example, Ichigo, when he's dealing with the souls, he gives them like soul tickets, like a one-way ticket to Soul
Interesting.
Society, and it's just like so strange.
Yeah.
And also the whole arc around Orihime and her brother, where her brother turns into the Hollow, etc.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
No, that's like
For
10
anyone
years
that-
plus. Spoiler alert. But in the unreleased version, it's her dad instead of the brother.
I think it was nicer that it was the brother. Like I don't think I would have connected with it as much.
In the first chapter, she dies.
Oh.
Orihime actually dies, and she gets taken to Soul Society.
That's not from
Bruh.
the actual
I was
manga
like,
and anime,
what?
guys. That's from the unreleased.
Yeah, that's the unreleased like Bleach volume 1. That was going to be the first volume.
What
but I
would they
never
have
got
done
it.
for the wole series without the
That
fan
would have
service?
Exactly,
That
like
would've
Ichigo marries her.
It's like the
and then
OG
she's
fan
dead already.
service. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I think like Bleach was definitely one of my OG most influential ones because it had like that arc based, like, you know, something's happening, something's gone wrong, they need to fix it. And when you're young, you don't really see the faults of it. Like obviously it can become very repetitive, but when you're younger and you're getting into anime, it's just like, oh shit, I want to see him beat up this guy.
Yeah.
I want to see that fight. Oh, he's got a new power. Yeah, that's what kind of brings you in. But if people were starting, you know, anime and stuff, that'd probably be like one that I would say is one of my most influential.
You know
ones.
what's funny? It was quite a few years ago now, like I don't know, probably like 5, 6, 7 years ago.
Yeah.
I had a Reddit account and I was on our anime, and it wasn't like, now our anime is huge.
Yeah.
But back then it wasn't very big. And I remember that people would always put comments like, oh, what seinen do you recommend? Like, what shonen do you recommend? Whatever. And someone wrote, what do you recommend for someone who's never been into anime before? And I wrote Bleach,
Yeah.
and I gave a long explanation as to why, and I got so many down votes. And people were like, this guy's an idiot, don't listen to him, Bleach is shit. Like, they absolutely shat on me for recommending Bleach.
no.
I ended up deleting the comment because back then I was like I had like no karma, and I was so about karma, and I didn't want to have negative karma, and I couldn't post. Like, I went back onto our anime last year, and I still had such like negative karma in the group that I couldn't post anything, and I could like barely comment. So it took me like ages to be able to get to the point where I could post anything again because people downvoted that comment
that Bleach
so
comment.
much. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't even know why. Bleach is like I don't know, like, yes, very generic.
Yeah.
But like,
It got a lot of people in.
definitely.
It done
for
its
sure,
job
yeah.
really. And I think
One of the
another
top
one
3.
is Code Geass. Like Code Geass for
Code
me
Geass,
was
super good
amazing.
story, yeah.
Yeah. Like the story in itself and like the whole idea of a revenge plot where he's trying to literally take on like the whole of Britannia.
Yeah.
And the ways that he goes about it, like the plots and like the betrayals and like the random things that happen, and then there's a bit of like romance in there.
I've
and then
never
there's, like,
watched it
Yeah.
already.
Oh, you never watched it?
So I have no idea what
bro.
it's about.
Oh, this
Okay.
should
I know
definitely go on your
of
list.
it. I know of
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
but I've never like.
I'll
so-
say the other cool thing about Code Geass is honestly subbed or dubbed equivalent. Like, I actually prefer the dubbed personally, which is a
really?
bit controversial, but
Oh,
I think
yeah,
it's like
it's gonna be
yeah.
controversial.
I think it's one of those. It's like another reason that it's a good
Yeah.
OG / introduction is like whether you like subbed or dubbed, it kind of works in both really well.
Fair enough. I think I definitely prefer the subbed.
Oh,
right?
really?
For it, yeah. I don't know. It's just like that
Lelouch's
kind of
voice in English is too
emphasis.
good, man.
I might have to give it a try. I haven't actually watched it.
Okay, you have to try and dub this very
yeah,
good.
Yeah, but even the battles, with the mecha and like the different kind of mechas they get, that was like my first proper mecha anime as well. Like,
okay.
It wasn't like full on mecha.
Mine
either.
was Gurren Lagann, but again,
Oh, I
that's like
watched that
not like
after.
fully. It's not fully mecha, right? It's the
Yeah.
same type of thing.
It's like the drill in it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
So you hit a couple different genres. I think probably one of mine was Cowboy Bebop, which again is like another subbed / dubbed, because again, I didn't really like subbed when I first started watching.
Yeah.
So a lot of the animes I liked were like very good dubs.
Yeah.
So Cowboy Bebop, in my opinion, and Samurai Champloo are better dubbed.
Oh,
But
okay.
yeah, controversial, whatever.
Interesting.
I just think the Cowboy Bebop's better.
I feel like the story is timeless. So as long
Yeah, the
as
story
you're
was very
enjoying
good. Yeah,
it,
super good story.
like
and-
I'm an advocate for subbed, but as long as you're joining,
Yeah.
as long as you're enjoying the story, like
Yeah.
just watch it how you like.
I think when I first started, it just helped a lot that I liked it either way. And the other thing was the art style and the music. Like the music blew my mind as like a young 15 or whatever I was when I watched it. Like,
Yeah.
because I liked jazz music as a kid, but
Yeah.
I kind of forgot about it. And then when I watched that anime, it like fully pulled me in.
Yeah.
So for me, that was such an influential anime. And like when it ended, I watched the movie,
Yeah.
and then when the movie was done, I cried because I couldn't watch anymore.
Oh,
Like it was the
Ah,
first anime.
I see
You know what I mean? Like the
you're
first
saying,
one that
yeah.
made me cry because I couldn't watch
Yeah.
anything else. I was like, how can the story just end there?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I want to see more.
Yeah.
Or why is there only 25 episodes?
You
Like
wanted to
Have you
just
have you
carry
seen
on.
Steins Gate?
yeah,
No, I haven't seen
really
You know,
really good.
Once I finished Steins Gate, I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Like if anybody says anime is shit or just
Bro,
for kids,
you know, I
like,
had to
they
watch
don't
it 3
understand.
times.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
I could never actually watch it. Like I downloaded it,
Yeah.
and I was ready to watch it, and I watched it like the first time. I got up to like the second episode, and I was like, "Wow, this is pretty boring."
Well, no, it's because you don't understand anything, right?
Yeah,
like
yeah,
it starts
exactly.
off. So yeah, listen, if you started Steins Gate and you didn't understand anything, you're not gonna understand anything until probably like third to last episode,
like-
second to last episode.
Yeah, like I think it starts getting better. Like
you start
episode
building
8,
and
9.
understanding, as it
Yeah,
goes through,
yeah,
but like you don't actually have any full concrete idea of what's going on until basically the end. So I kept watching the first episode and being like, why does nothing make sense?
Yeah.
And I just kept stopping watching
Yeah.
it. And then I think when I got older, I was like,
Yeah.
okay, I'll just push through because everyone
Yeah.
loves it.
Like one summer I literally had nothing to do, and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna get through it. I've
Yeah.
heard so much about it.
Yeah.
Like everyone's raving around it, so I'm just gonna watch it,
Yeah.
and I'm so glad I did.
Yeah.
So if you haven't watched it, definitely watch it. And
Sure. I will.
Take some notes
just
from
just
it.
try to get through it. You know.
Yeah. But yeah, what was like one of the biggest for you in terms
guess-
of anime or manga?
Again, like because I grew up watching them, it would definitely be Detective Conan, Captain Tsubasa, and Dragon Ball Z, because those were like the first like 3 that I
Okay.
constantly watched,
Yeah.
and like because I always loved mystery stuff, like mystery animes or just mystery dramas, anything
Yeah.
to do with like detectives and mystery solving. I always loved that. So like number 1 has always been Detective Conan. Like it's never been like swapped around
Yeah.
with anything else. For me, it's always been like that.
Yeah.
But it's also, I guess it's just a preference of like a personal preference. But because I was such a huge fan of like problem solving and like solving, like, you know, because you get to kind of solve the like mystery with the characters
Yeah.
while you're watching it. You can guess and be like, oh, how did they do it? And like the more I watched it, the better I got at it. So it would be like a lot more
Yeah.
fun. I'd be like really looking forward to what's going to happen in the next episode. How are they going to kill the character, or how are they going to do the problem solving and
Bro, I'm
whatnot.
starting to think we're all kind of dark. Like maybe Tyler's the only normal one.
Yeah,
Me and Rob were talking about killing quite a lot.
yeah, no.
I really enjoyed Attack on Titan as well, because that I think the first season came out 2014 or something.
Yeah, 14.
So that was like
15 around that
still
time.
kind of when I was high school, kind of going into uni.
End of A level.
And I think that's when like anime really started kicking off and getting popular, and like started seeing them people cosplaying like the scout.
Oh yeah, I
regiments and
remember,
everything.
man. But I didn't
Yeah,
go to Expose. The only thing I went to was Hyper Japan. I didn't know there were like other anime things. I think
Okay.
because Hyper
Yeah.
Japan was always in the summer when I
The
could come.
the two big ones are Hyper Japan and Anime
Yeah.
Expo.
But I
Yeah,
remember
London.
Hyper Japan was all people in scout uniforms. Like I just,
Yes.
or Mikasa, you know, like
Everyone
everyone.
was Mikasa or Eren.
And then a lot of people did Haikyuu as well. I
Oh,
remember
yeah.
that. But
Haikyuu
like,
was a
popping
big
off
one.
yeah,
back
the
then as
the
well.
most was Mikasa. I remember everyone was just walking around looking like Mikasa.
Yeah.
But yeah, like those were the biggest animes for me while growing up. Obviously, Captain Tsubasa was like mainly because of football.
Yeah,
Like football really was such a huge part of my life back then. Like I don't play as much football now, but like back then I used to play a lot of football. So like that was such a big thing. And like Dragon Ball Z, it was just a story. Just the overall story.
just the 20
just-
episode Spirit Bomb.
Yeah.
It's just like
Charging up for, like,
everything.
30
It was just so much fun, and all the
Yeah.
powers. How like.
But did you like Dragon Ball more or Dragon Ball Z more? Because I
I-
love Dragon Ball.
I prefer Dragon Ball
Yeah,
a lot more.
Okay,
for sure.
Most people like Dragon Ball Z because they're
'Cause
used to it, but I like Dragon
yeah,
Ball.
everyone's so much more used to Dragon Ball
Yeah.
Z. They don't
Yeah.
watch Dragon Ball,
Yeah.
and a lot of people, I guess, don't know about Dragon Ball. They found
Yeah.
out really late
Yeah,
after
after-
watching Dragon Ball Z. They're like,
Yeah.
"Oh wait, there's something before that.
Yeah.
There's a Dragon Ball," and then
Yeah.
they're like, "Oh okay." And also it's because it's old
Yeah.
as well, and the art style. Like a lot of
the
I
art
would
style
guess a lot of
changed, yeah.
people would not want to watch it because of the art style.
Yeah.
Because of how old the art style is. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, it's so old. I've heard people say like when they like, for example, Hunter x Hunter. A lot of people would watch the new version of it rather than the original.
So I
art
like
style.
the old one, but the
I
new one
prefer
just
the
has
old
way
one.
more episodes and
Yeah,
a lot more
definitely.
canon.
I think it's also because a lot of people, like nowadays, if you watch Hunter x Hunter, the old one, you'd be like, I'm so used to the HD and all the bold colors and all
Yeah.
the like refined coloring and
Yeah.
everything of the new art, that watching the old stuff is like kind of like, I'm not used to it. You're
Yeah.
not used to it. And you feel like, oh, this is really old. I don't want to watch it.
Yeah.
Even though it's pretty much the same thing. It's just one's just up more HD,
Yeah.
just more modern art
Yeah.
than
Yeah.
what it was before. But yeah, like those were pretty much the biggest ones for me.
I think the one that I missed for myself was probably Rurouni Kenshin, which is the first manga I bought like every volume.
Oh,
I
Rurouni
love
Kenshin.
Rurouni
Yeah,
Kenshin.
I love it so much. But
I
it's
actually
like,
watched the films instead
Oh,
of the
really?
manga or the anime.
I actually couldn't watch the anime because I liked the manga too much. I felt like the anime wasn't as good, so I never watched it. I just
Yeah.
read it.
Have you
and-
seen the live action?
No,
Oh, I watched the live
is
action.
it good?
I actually thought it was pretty good.
I'd say
Like
it's pretty- I
for
would say it's
for
one of the best.
Japanese anime
Okay.
live action is solid. Like
I would
the
say-
combat's there, stories there, music was actually pretty good
I would
as
say
well.
like obviously we could talk about this. This could be a whole new topic, but like if I was to say like anime to live action, Rurouni Kenshin for me in terms of like cinematography
Yeah.
and everything and bringing it to life, Rurouni Kenshin the whole series is like top.
Okay, so it's not a Dragon Ball live action.
Yeah, it's none of that Hollywood
Remember Avatar?
nonsense.
Yeah. Oh no.
It's none of that Hollywood nonsense. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that could be a whole different thing that we could talk
Yeah.
about as well at some point. Okay, thanks for listening. This has been Anime Real Talk. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Music, and pretty much everywhere else.
We'll be uploading videos to our YouTube channel, where you can find us at Anime Real Talk, and you can find us on Twitter with the same handle at Anime Real Talk, or on Instagram with at Anime Real Talk Podcast.
Also, please leave a review, send any comments, emails, or thoughts our way. Our email is animerealtalk@gmail.com. We'll be back next week, same time on Wednesday. Peace.
See ya.
Bye.